B2B businesses that are using AI in 2025 are going to make a lot more money than their competitors. And when I say a lot, it could be 10 times, it could be double, it could be 50 times more. But I know for a fact, because if you didn't know, about over £1 trillion worth of investment has been put into the AI industry. And businesses that are implementing are making more money. In fact, I will link a study that shows it right here. So with that being said, I want to talk to you about how you can actually implement AI inside of your business. And I'm not going to go through like tools or systems. Instead, I'm going to show you how you need to start thinking about using AI. And mainly for this video, I'm going to talk about internal solutions, not just sales and marketing, which is obviously what we love, but internal solutions make you money too. So you know me, I love my trusty whiteboard. And if you're wondering, do I need to have some tech background or any type of skills? You can do this with no coding skills needed. Trust me, I'm not the best person on the laptop, but this is not that hard. And if you are running a B2B business, the likelihood is you'll have a team and you can actually just get someone on your team to just do the research and do this themselves. It's not that hard. So before you start thinking about any type of internal AI solution, the very first thing you've got to think about is like, what's the purpose of the solution? Because most of the times we get things wrong. Even our team can get things wrong because we're not quite sure what the purpose is. So I'm going to give you a live example of a company that we worked with. They're a real estate company, and I'm going to explain what the purpose is because we actually built an inbound voice agent. They get loads of calls in their real estate reception, and sometimes they don't have staff available to answer the calls because they're out on viewings, they haven't got a full-time receptionist, blah, blah, blah. So the first thing we have to think of is what's the purpose? In this case, for this business, we needed an AI receptionist that can work 24 hours per day. All right. So in layman's terms, we just need a receptionist, right? Now, another thing is this AI also needs to be multilingual, not bilingual, multilingual. In this case, they needed to speak Urdu, they need to speak Arabic, obviously English, that goes without saying, and then they need to speak Romanian. So 4 languages. So then the next thing we have to think about is the design. And it's really important that we get all of these different things running. Now, the design, what does that even mean? The design of this AI voice agent, and it doesn't matter what the solution could be. The solution for you could be an automated onboarding funnel, an automated follow-up sequence. No matter what it is, something internal, you need to think about the design of it. What is the workflow? So I'll show you. Essentially, in this case, the office gets a phone call, right? I'm just going to imagine this is a call, so I'm just going to put C for call. This call is usually going to be about maybe 1 to 3 different scenarios. One scenario is a landlord is calling because something needs to get fixed in the house. Okay. Another scenario is someone calling because they want to book a viewing, right? Another thing could be something to do with a tenant. So we've got 3 different pathways that the AI agent needs to understand. Then the design basically is depending on what happens in this call and how the call goes will determine who in that team gets contacted. It could be operations. It could be someone that manages the finances, whoever's managing the scenario within the real estate company. So for us, we've created these scenarios, and then whatever the voice agent hears and has to deal with gets forwarded in a pipeline to that specific individual. All right. And then obviously that person will manually go and get whatever they need to do fixed. So the design, what is the workflow? You have to design the workflow as a framework first. Then obviously the prompt. So this is probably the hardest part, and probably doing it on this whiteboard is not going to be best. But usually I personally send a voice note into ChatGPT. That's how I design prompts. And I actually prompt ChatGPT to help me improve my prompts. So in this case, in layman terms, I'm going to basically create a prompt that basically explains the personality of my voice agent. You are a voice agent for so-and-so real estate company. You can speak X amount of languages. There's going to be 3 scenarios in which you're going to deal with. It's going to be landlords, tenants, and people that want to book viewings. If someone wants to book a viewing, you do XYZ. If someone wants to book XYZ, do XYZ. And if someone wants to book do ABC. All right. And then give all the different scenarios. And every time you make a prompt, send it back to ChatGPT and ask it, is there anything I'm missing in this prompt that could make it better? And ChatGPT will tell you, and you keep making the prompt better. That's literally it. So the next thing you're probably wondering is, what tools do you need? For us, there's 2 tools that you can use. We've built this particular one. We built it on make.com. So when I say you don't need coding, it's mainly because of Make. Make makes it very simple. You can use stuff like N8N, but make.com is very simple. It's easy to use, and you can obviously do that. The next thing you're going to need is 11 Labs. 11 Labs allows you to build a voice. Now, if you want it to sound like you, 11 Labs has, when you upgrade, it has an option where you can upload 30 minutes of audio from you. And then obviously you get like a really detailed voice. I use it actually. It's very, very powerful. If you just want a more generic voice, it doesn't really matter. But obviously you might want it UK. This company's in Birmingham, so it'd be UK, Birmingham, so on and so forth, right? So 11 Labs is what you use to connect to make.com so that you have a voice. And then to actually make the calls, you use Vappy. The good thing about Vappy is I think you pay per minute rather than having to pay like a monthly subscription fee. So if you're not getting a lot of calls, you don't really pay a lot for Vappy. But if you are getting a lot of calls, you pay more. It's fine. It's worth it because at the end of the day, it's going to help you make more money and be a way more efficient business. So already you can see the build, and the benefit of just doing this alone means that as an office, they are way more efficient and they provide a much better service for their landlords and for their tenants and for potential people that want to buy houses, right? The last thing I would say as a tool is Go High Level, because Go High Level is really trying to spearhead AI, and they're integrating all of these things within their platform, which is crazy. Go High Level is like a Swiss Army knife. It's not perfect. It's a little bit of a jack of all trades, right? So the next thing is implementing. So once you build all of this, all you got to do is kind of stick it all together, right? You got to stick it all together and start testing it. So implementing and testing kind of go together because you implement, then test, or you test and implement. And what I would do is I would stress test it. So when I say stress test it, you would call, and for this particular case, we'd call the agent and say things that make mistakes. We'd be like, look, I want to buy a house in XYZ area, an area that maybe the company doesn't serve. Or you might speak a language that's not one of the four and see how it handles that. Okay, so you have to stress test. When I say stress test, basically think of the worst case scenarios, because then what it does is it reveals to you what you need to actually improve in your prompt, and just whole completely within the AI. It just shows you what you need to improve. And that's very, very important. And then once this all happens and everything's implemented, you now have a full, like solid AI implemented internal system. Again, this is what we built for a real estate company that needed a receptionist. You can build it for like anything. It doesn't matter. Think about all the internal solutions in your business that are not going well, or that you could improve, or that is very manual or very driven by human interaction. This basically does it all for you. So in overall, basically what happens is they get a call, that call's processed into the CRM, that CRM is updated, the individual that it's related to is updated, and the CRM, the person, that lead or that individual, that tenant, that landlord is then updated in the CRM and moved along a pipeline, all done within 5 minutes. All right. And these type of automations and systems can honestly help you make money. And here's how we help them make money. A receptionist can cost them anything from 20 to 25 grand a year in salaries. This software does not cost that. Our retainer fee does not cost that. So ultimately, this has been built for them, and we're saving them 10 or 15 grand a year just by doing this. And we're making them more efficient, which means they can get more viewings done. They can please the landlords better, which means they can charge more. They have a better ship and they're able to make more money. Your internal systems are just as important as your sales and marketing. So you can't neglect this. If you want to know a little bit more about how to actually build these type of things, I have a 14-day AI sales playbook. It's completely free. The link is in the description. It's all yours. Have fun with it. Have a blast. I'll see you on the other side. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Peace.